Sorry that you missed the session, and I thought that would be very helpful for you to learn these skills because you are the supporter of other humans, and you showing up with trust will support other people's trust. Therefore, I am going to share with you the key points that we talked in the workshop. What did we talk about in this workshop is embodied safety as a leadership skill in the times of uncertainty. Before we start, it's a good practice that you take a moment for yourself and feel. How is the feeling tone inside of you right now? What are you receiving when you pause for a moment? I personally receive a little bit of tension around my eyes, openness here in my chest, and some jiggly feeling here in my mouth because maybe I drank too much coffee. This is how we start with presence in our conversations or in anything that we would like to be present with. In this session, what we talked about is, first of all, understanding how and why nervous system is part of this conversation, learning the key practices to become a stabilizing presence, and also practicing embodied safety. So we will not be able to do the third part. This is when you show up in the workshop, you have the chance to practice it with others real time. But as you will be watching this video, you will only be able to capture the main learnings, but feel free and you are highly encouraged to practice this in your meetings with others and with yourself. We started with the question, how do you experience people respond to uncertainty? Because that was the framework that we looked into this. Current times, VUCA times, it's very volatile, it's very uncertain. It is VUCA, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The change is happening very fast, and we might all respond differently to that change, and also not knowing what the next thing will be and not having enough information. Our nervous system is built for safety, or part of the nervous system, and it always looks for cues for safety. And when it doesn't find the cues because something is new, then it might go into a place of alarm, that fight and flight response. And we might see people responding from a place of anger and blame, or we might find people responding from a place of being frozen, really being taken aback, being silent. All of us might have different responses, and some of us might hold that space of curiosity and learning, which we all can, but it takes practice. We started the conversation from that understanding of our nervous system, and we used the model window of tolerance of Dr. Dan Siegel. And Dr. Dan Siegel says that we are all capable of being grounded, flexible, open, curious, present, and self-regulate. We can have emotions, we can have responses, but they will be, we will have them, and then we will be able to come back to our presence. This is a healthy, this is a good window of tolerance. We all have this flexibility, resilience, ability. But sometimes because of past experiences, our nervous system can, or for the experiences that are beyond our capacity, beyond our window of tolerance, we might find ourselves in the hyperarousal or in the hypoarousal. So hyperarousal is when we have the nervous system goes into a high energy mode and we go into fight flight responses. Or hypoarousal is it bypasses that fight flight and goes into a freeze or fawn, where then our nervous system acts as if we are dead, so that we might be passed by and we can survive the danger. It is important to notice our own responses so that when we are hyper aroused, we can bring our nervous system down to our window of tolerance. When we are hyper aroused, then we can energize our system back to the window of tolerance. It's also important to know this because we might observe these behaviors in our colleagues and people we are with. So when people are in the hyperarousal, they might show up as controlling, blaming. This is the fight response, or they might be avoiding, overthinking, delaying. This might be a flight response. And in hypoarousal, we might see behaviors such as silence, disengagement, shutting down, or agreeing too much, or always asking for permission and help. So that might be a phone response that we might observe. It is important to be aware of different responses because these are not judgments of people or bad behaviors, but this is how what becomes of a person when they are dysregulated. So we can have compassion for others and we can have compassion for ourselves. And we can know that it's always possible to come back to a window of tolerance. It's also important to know when a person is in hyperarousal or hyperarousal, they are not in their learning zone because this is nervous system alarm state. This is all about survival. And when people are in that survival mode, they will always go back to their old patterns, like the safest way, what they already know, or they might be going to that defensive modes or frozen modes. We cannot expect people to show up fully. We cannot expect the right answers or high potential behavior. So that's important to know. But what we can do is we can first give space for that regulation to happen and then follow up with people to the place of learning and development. It is important to know that safety comes before learning. We always say in the VUCA world, in that world of change and uncertainty, we need to learn and we need to test things and experiment and move forward. That can only happen once there is safety. If there is no safety, there will be no moving forward. So safety first. And good news is that we can co-create this safety with others by showing up as regulated people, showing up as presence that has this safety. We looked into cases where we have examples of people showing up dysregulated. I am not going to go deeper into that, but here we have a case of someone who might be in the hyper state. And before we start solving problems of this person, it is important to acknowledge how this person is feeling. This is how we want to show up with this person. So I'm feeling that you are overwhelmed and you would need help. Is that correct? And then we can move forward. That would be the best way to support this person. But it might be that when we hear such a response, such a talk, someone in the hyper place, we also might be in a dysregulated. So we might be triggered into a dysregulated state. Therefore, it's important to see how I am right now and then come to a regulation and respond from this place. We will be talking what regulation is, how now looks like now. I'm moving, we skipped this case, we don't have enough time, so I'm skipping it here as well. We have 3 superpowers that help us help others in those moments of uncertainty. And we will be focusing more in that embodied presence. We have other sessions, step out to step up sessions that focus on active listening and partnering. Embodied presence is our co-regulation. We have motor neurons. So as humans, when we have someone who is present, who is fully regulated, who basically delivers a sense of safety, then we are affected and we also feel safe. So we humans can regulate together. When one person is regulated, the other gets regulated as well. When one person is dysregulated, it might create also dysregulation in the other. So we have the power of co-regulation, which we will be practicing. We have the power of active listening, which means that we don't just listen what the person said, but also what the person communicates through their body language and nonverbal cues, and also the sense that we are having. And we are having the power of partnering, which means that we can do things together, collaboration. We don't have to do things for the other person, or they don't have to feel alone. We can support other people's thinking and choice making. And this is what we would like to support people with in the times of uncertainty. Let's start with the embodied presence, which means we will regulate ourselves first. When we are with others, we will check how we are. Are we in our window of tolerance? Are we in a hyper state or a hypo state? Depending on which state we are at, we will regulate ourselves. If we are in the hyper state, we might feel that our breath is high, for example, very speedy, then we will probably slow our breath. And that's something that you can do immediately, such as you have a long breathe out, but also with a sigh, such as do it a couple of times and it will help you regulate, come from a hyper place to your window of tolerance. Or you can follow, it's called box breathing. Breathe in 4 counts, breathe out in 4 counts, and you can add pauses in between. Breathe in 4 counts, pause for 4 counts, breathe out in 4 counts, and then pause for 4 counts. So you not hold your breath, but after you breathe it out, you pause, and then after you breathe it in, you pause. Then it would be a box. You can practice box breathing as well. Grounding works again from hyper to the window of tolerance. Just drop your weight to your seat, feel your feet on the ground, feel that the seat is supporting you, and just be here and now. This is how you can ground. Softening, again from a hyper place, you can just let go. And you can also look at your face in the mirror and see the tension and release that tension, or you don't even have to look at the mirror. Just say to yourself, soften. I'm softening my face muscles. I'm softening. You feel, you can scan your body and just soften every part of your body. You can open. So if you are in a closed posture, just open. And also from your mind, sometimes our gaze is too focused, as if we would like to capture something. Open the gaze. That opening movement is a regulation. If you are in a hypo state, the lower energetic state of the nervous system, you might want to invite movement, like shaking is a good idea, right? Like certain punchy movements could be a good idea. You might want to use your voice, like shout. You can do what we call ha breath. When you breathe in, you can breathe in and breathe out with ha, like with a punctuating ha movement that comes from your belly. That might be a practice you want to have. You want to energize your nervous system. You can dance. You can shake all your body. Then comes holding a space of compassion and regard for others. So when you are in a conversation, you notice your judgments. You don't work with your judgments. You work with that acknowledgement of and validation of how the other person is feeling and thinking, and you hold them in the highest regard. And what you do is you give these safety cues to the other person. As you regulate it yourself, you will be giving these cues to the nervous system of the other person. So your open body will be impacting them. Your relaxed facial muscles will be impacting them. Your soft melodic voice will be impacted them. So soft voice, I think it's clear that it doesn't have aggression. It has this openness, compassion. And the melodic part is also important because when we are in the hypo, then we have a lower frozen voice. When we are having a melodic voice, as I hope I can emulate right now, then that window of tolerance, that regulation also comes across. Yeah. And the relaxed breath, people can feel how we are breathing. So these are safety cues that help the other person co-regulate with us. Active listening is a power that we use. We are looking to understand how the other person is feeling and thinking and what they might be needing, also beyond what they are saying. In this example, Lisa was saying, I don't even know why we are having this conversation. I feel like drowning. I have to act like everything fine. Why am I even here? Like there's some blaming and judgmental language. But she might be saying is, and what we might be hearing is, okay, I hear you're angry and feeling this is too much. We validate, we give back what we hear from them so that they can feel they're understood and they're safe with us. And then we can partner with others. We don't have to solve problems for them. What might happen is you immediately give suggestions, Or another way is that this is wrong how you are thinking, like a judgment comes, a correction comes. Rather than this, what we can do is, if they accept what we have said, okay, like, I hear you are needing help, you are angry, you are overwhelmed, they might say, yes, exactly. And then we are asking them, because the power is in them, what do you need in this moment? And from there, we co-create with them. So what we do is we hold our thinking, knowing, and suggestions, and we are present and curious. This is how we show up. And it starts with regulation. And then the people who were in the workshop practiced being with someone who is dysregulated, so who is either angry, afraid, judgmental, and so on. And they responded from that place of first regulating themselves and then showing up, being curious, actively listening, and then partnering. And you can practice this on your own. And you can come to our next workshops. So we have 2 more workshops, that one on 22nd of April and one on 21st of May. These workshops are for people who are working with others and who want to support others, especially people, managers, leaders, so that they can take time off, they can step out of their daily doing, and they can step up their leadership through coaching approaches, through human to human connection, and through interacting with others who might be experiencing the same challenges. These are always 1-hour workshops, interactive workshops, and we would love to see you in the next ones. And I wish a kind request, could you let other people know about these workshops so that more people learn? And also, could you introduce us to your decision makers, leaders, HR, so that we can serve their needs and we can create trainings so that your working environments can be better human working spaces, because people know how to support each other the best way. My name is Işıl. It was my pleasure to be with you. And if you have any questions, feel free to send an email or reply to this email where you are receiving this video from, and hope to see you in one of our next sessions. Take care.